Stories and Documentary Network. The Kingdom of Cyprus, established in the late 12th century, emerged as a significant medieval state that played a crucial role in the geopolitics of the Mediterranean. Situated at the crossroads of Europe, Asia, and Africa, Cyprus' strategic location made it a vital hub for trade, diplomacy, and military campaigns. Its position at the heart of the Mediterranean allowed it to serve as a critical link between the Christian West and the Muslim East, particularly during the era of the Crusades. From the 12th to the 15th centuries, the Kingdom of Cyprus flourished under the Lusignan dynasty, becoming a center for Latin Christianity and a key player in the regional power struggles. Its bustling ports, such as Famagusta, made it a commercial powerhouse, attracting merchants and goods from across the Mediterranean and beyond. The kingdom also served as a launching point for Crusader expeditions to the Holy Land, making it indispensable to the religious and military campaigns of the era. Cyprus' role in shaping Mediterranean trade networks, its involvement in European politics, and its ability to withstand invasions from powerful neighboring empires all underscore its importance. This essay explores the rise, reign, and eventual decline of the Kingdom of Cyprus, revealing the island's pivotal role in medieval history and its lasting legacy. Cyprus has a rich and complex history that predates the Crusader era. Its strategic location in the eastern Mediterranean made it a target for multiple civilizations, beginning with the ancient kingdoms that rose on the island. Around the 2nd millennium BCE, the Mycenaeans, followed by the Phoenicians, established trading posts on the island, initiating Cyprus' role as a center of trade and cultural exchange. Throughout antiquity, the island was known for its copper resources, which gave Cyprus its name, from the Greek, Kypros. Under Roman rule from 58 BCE, Cyprus became an integral part of the empire's eastern provinces, experiencing a period of economic prosperity and cultural flourishing. Later, the island came under the control of the Byzantine Empire following the fall of Rome in the 4th century CE. During the Byzantine period, Cyprus was fortified and saw the spread of Christianity, which became the dominant religion. Greek and Byzantine influence became deeply embedded in the island's identity, reflected in its language, culture, and architecture. Throughout its early history, Cyprus' strategic importance was tied to its proximity to both Europe and the Middle East. Its control over key maritime routes made it a vital link between the two regions, a factor that would remain central to its significance during the Crusades and the establishment of the Kingdom of Cyprus. Cyprus' position became increasingly significant during the era of the Crusades. In 1191, during the Third Crusade, Richard the Lionheart, King of England, arrived in Cyprus after his fleet was scattered by a storm. At the time, the island was under Byzantine control, ruled by Isaac Komnenos, a renegade Byzantine prince who had declared Cyprus independent. Richard quickly saw the strategic importance of Cyprus as a base for his Crusader forces and launched an assault on the island. Richard's conquest of Cyprus was swift. After defeating Isaac, he seized control of the island, which soon became a critical supply base for the Crusaders. Rather than keeping Cyprus for himself, Richard sold the island to the Knights Templar, who later returned it due to the costs and difficulties of administration. In 1192, Richard sold Cyprus to Guy of Lusignan, a former king of Jerusalem who had lost his title after the fall of the Crusader Stronghold in the Holy Land. With this transition, the Lusignan family established the Kingdom of Cyprus in 1192. The Lusignans were a French noble family with deep Crusader roots, and their rule marked the beginning of a new era for Cyprus. The island quickly transformed into a powerful and stable Christian stronghold in the Mediterranean, providing a refuge for Crusaders and a base for further military operations in the Levant. This marked the foundation of the Kingdom of Cyprus, setting the stage for its development into a key player in the politics, trade, and religion of the medieval Mediterranean world. Following the establishment of the Kingdom of Cyprus by the Lusignan dynasty in 1192, the new rulers faced the challenge of consolidating their power over the island. The Lusignans, a noble family with deep roots in Western Europe, brought feudal governance to Cyprus, implementing a monarchy that fused European feudal structures with the existing local traditions. Under the Lusignans, Cyprus became a classic feudal state, with a well-defined hierarchy of nobility. each granted estates in return for military service and loyalty to the crown. This system ensured stability and control over the island, as the nobility played a central role in governing the kingdom. The monarchy, however, maintained a strong central authority, which allowed the Lusignans to navigate the challenges of ruling over a diverse population that included Latin Christians, Orthodox Greeks, Armenians, Maronites, and Jews. Over time, the Lusignans also formed alliances with other Crusader states and Western European powers, helping to fortify their rule and establish Cyprus as a critical Christian bastion in the eastern Mediterranean. Religion played a significant role in the growth and identity of the Kingdom of Cyprus. Under the Lusignans, Cyprus became a center for Latin Christianity, which was the official religion of the ruling elite. The Lusignans were staunch Catholics and worked to establish Latin Christianity as the dominant force on the island. Latin bishoprics were set up, and religious institutions were built, including churches, monasteries, and cathedrals that showcased Gothic architectural influences from Europe. However, Cyprus was home to a multicultural and multi-religious society, and the Lusignans permitted a degree of religious coexistence. Orthodox Greeks, Armenians, Maronites, and Jews were allowed to practice their religions, though the Latin Church held political and social dominance. The Orthodox Church, which represented the majority of the Greek Cypriot population, was allowed to maintain its structure and hierarchy, though it was subject to the Latin Church's authority. This coexistence shaped the island's rich religious and cultural tapestry. Architecturally, the Lusignan period left a lasting legacy. The fusion of Gothic and Byzantine styles is evident in many of the religious and military structures built during this time. Cathedrals, like the St. Nicholas Cathedral in Famagusta, reflected the Gothic style brought from Europe, while Byzantine influences were visible in churches and monasteries that catered to the local Greek Orthodox population. The construction of fortifications, castles, and palaces also demonstrated the Lusignan dynasty's focus on both religious and military strength. The Kingdom of Cyprus experienced significant economic growth under the Lusignan dynasty, particularly in agriculture and trade. Cyprus' fertile soil and favorable climate made it a prime location for cultivating crops such as sugar, grapes, and olives. Sugar production became one of the island's major exports, with plantations dotting the landscape. The cultivation of vineyards and olive groves also contributed to the island's agricultural wealth, with wine and olive oil being key products in both domestic use and export. As a result of its agricultural success, Cyprus became a major trading hub in the eastern Mediterranean. Its ports, particularly Famagusta and Limassol, thrived as centers for commerce. Merchants from across the Mediterranean, including Italians, Greeks, and Arabs, flocked to Cyprus to trade goods such as spices, textiles, and metals. Cyprus' strategic location also made it a stopover for ships traveling between Europe, the Levant, and North Africa, further boosting its importance in regional trade networks. Relations with Italian city-states like Venice and Genoa were critical to Cyprus' economic development. The Italians had established strong trading ties with Cyprus, and their merchants dominated much of the commercial activity on the island. While this brought prosperity, it also led to political tensions, as both Venice and Genoa sought to control the lucrative trade routes and influence the kingdom's politics. Despite these tensions, the Lusignan rulers leveraged these relationships to bolster their kingdom's economy, ensuring Cyprus remained an important center of commerce throughout the medieval period. The Kingdom of Cyprus held an indispensable role during the Crusades, serving as a key launching point for Christian expeditions to the Holy Land. Its strategic location, just off the coast of the Levant, made it an ideal staging ground for Crusader armies and fleets. Following the conquest of Cyprus by Richard the Lionheart in 1191, and its transfer to the Lusignan family, the island became a major logistical hub. Troops, supplies, and reinforcements were organized on the island before crossing into the Levant, giving it great military importance in the Christian efforts to retake and defend the Holy Land. Cyprus continued to play this vital role throughout the Crusader era, offering safe harbor for ships and a place to regroup before launching new campaigns. When the Crusader states in the Levant began to fall, Cyprus gained even more prominence. After the fall of Acre in 1291, which marked the end of the Crusader presence in the Holy Land, Cyprus became the last major Christian stronghold in the eastern Mediterranean. The Lusignan kings harbored Crusaders fleeing from the Levant and supported efforts to reclaim Christian territories. However, with the Crusader states lost, Cyprus itself became the focal point of Christian resistance in the region. Given its strategic importance, Cyprus was vulnerable to numerous threats throughout its history, necessitating a robust system of fortifications. The Lusignan rulers recognized this early on and invested in building an extensive network of castles and fortresses across the island. These defenses were designed to protect the kingdom from both maritime invasions and internal rebellions. Key fortifications included the castles of Kyrenia, St. Hilarion, Buffavento, and Cantara, located on the northern mountain range, which served as strongholds against invaders. These castles, strategically positioned on steep terrain, were nearly impenetrable and provided excellent vantage points to monitor the coastline and surrounding regions. The fortified cities of Famagusta and Nicosia were also central to the kingdom's defense. Famagusta, with its massive walls and deep harbor, became one of the most formidable fortresses in the Mediterranean. Cyprus' military strategy also involved forming alliances with neighboring Christian and Crusader states, as well as Western European powers. However, with the growing power of Islamic states in the region, Cyprus faced increasing external pressure, particularly from the Mamluks and the rising Ottoman Empire. Cyprus faced several major military confrontations that shaped its history, with battles against the Mamluks and Ottoman forces standing out. In 1426, the island suffered a significant defeat at the Battle of Şuarkoyşa, where Mamluk forces invaded and captured King Janus of Cyprus. This marked a turning point in the kingdom's fortunes, as Cyprus was forced to pay tribute to the Mamluk Sultanate, weakening its sovereignty. In the late 15th century, the rise of the Ottoman Empire brought new threats to Cyprus. The Ottomans, seeking to expand their influence in the eastern Mediterranean, began targeting Cyprus, which by then had become one of the last remaining Christian territories in the region. The fall of Constantinople in 1453 and the growing Ottoman naval presence further increased the island's vulnerability. While Cyprus managed to stave off full-scale conquest during the Lusignan period, it would later fall to the Ottomans in 1571, marking the end of the kingdom's independent existence. The island's fortifications, though impressive, could not withstand the might of the Ottoman Empire, and Cyprus was absorbed into the expanding Ottoman territories. The military and strategic significance of Cyprus, however, remained unchanged, with the island continuing to serve as a key outpost in Mediterranean geopolitics. The Kingdom of Cyprus, under the Lusignan dynasty, maintained close diplomatic and military ties with Western European powers, particularly France and England. The Lusignan family, of French origin, had strong connections with the nobility of Europe, and these ties were solidified through strategic marriage alliances. By marrying into European royal families, the Lusignans ensured the flow of military and financial support from the continent, helping to safeguard the kingdom from external threats. One of the most notable alliances was with the Kingdom of France. The Lusignan rulers, many of whom were of French descent, maintained strong cultural and political ties with the French crown. French knights and nobles often traveled to Cyprus, participating in both Crusader expeditions and the defense of the island itself. Similarly, relations with England were also significant. Richard the Lionheart's conquest of Cyprus in 1191 marked the beginning of a long-standing relationship between Cyprus and England, although direct English involvement in Cypriot politics was less pronounced. In addition to military support, the Lusignans had close diplomatic relations with the papacy. Cyprus was deeply involved in crusading efforts, and the Lusignan kings were often seen as key players in the papal crusading campaigns. The kingdom was viewed as a Christian stronghold in the eastern Mediterranean, and Cypriot rulers participated in various crusades. This made Cyprus not only a strategic military base but also a politically significant player in broader European crusading efforts. The Kingdom of Cyprus' geographic location and its wealth from trade attracted the attention of the powerful Italian maritime states, particularly Genoa and Venice. These city-states were keen to control the lucrative trade routes that passed through Cyprus, leading to periods of rivalry and conflict. Both Genoa and Venice established commercial colonies on the island, and their influence became so substantial that it began to affect Cypriot politics. Genoa's ambitions in Cyprus led to a series of confrontations, the most significant of which occurred in 1373 when the Genoese launched an invasion of the island, capturing the key port city of Famagusta. This occupation severely weakened the Lusignan monarchy, as Famagusta was one of the richest cities in the Mediterranean, and its loss dealt a devastating blow to the Cypriot economy. Although the Lusignans later managed to regain control, the Genoese occupation marked a turning point in the kingdom's decline. Venice, on the other hand, took a more gradual approach to assert its influence. While Cyprus and Venice enjoyed a long-standing trading relationship, Venice's increasing control over Cypriot trade and politics became evident in the late 15th century. The Venetian Republic gradually extended its influence over the island, culminating in the annexation of Cyprus after the fall of the Lusignan dynasty in 1489. This transition marked the end of the Lusignan Kingdom and the beginning of Venetian rule on the island. Cyprus also maintained complex relations with the Islamic powers of the Eastern Mediterranean, particularly the Mamluk Sultanate in Egypt. The kingdom's proximity to Islamic states meant that it had to navigate both diplomatic and military interactions with the Muslim world. Cyprus engaged in trade with Muslim states, exchanging goods such as sugar, textiles, and wine, while also signing occasional treaties to ensure peace and maintain commerce. However, the relationship between Cyprus and the Mamluks was marked by intermittent conflict. The Mamluk Sultanate, based in Cairo, viewed Cyprus as a potential threat, particularly because of its role in launching crusades and providing refuge for Christian forces. Mamluk invasions of Cyprus occurred in both the late 13th and 14th centuries, with the most significant attack occurring in 1426 when the Mamluks invaded the island, defeated King Janus of Cyprus, and forced the kingdom to pay tribute to Cairo. Despite these conflicts, Cyprus continued to play a key role as a commercial and political intermediary between the Christian and Muslim worlds. The kingdom's strategic position as a trading hub in the Mediterranean allowed it to benefit from interactions with both Western European and Islamic powers, although this balancing act often came at a cost in terms of political autonomy and security. During the Lusignan period, Cyprus emerged as a vital Mediterranean trading hub, serving as a crossroads linking Europe, Asia, and Africa. Its strategic location at the intersection of major sea routes made it a central point for the exchange of goods, ideas, and culture between the East and the West. The island's thriving ports, especially those in Famagusta and Limassol, attracted merchants from all over the Mediterranean, including Italians, Arabs, and Byzantines, fostering a cosmopolitan atmosphere. One of the most significant exports from Cyprus during this period was sugar. The island's fertile land and climate were ideal for sugar production, which became one of the kingdom's most valuable commodities. Cypriot sugar was highly sought after in European markets, contributing greatly to the wealth of the Lusignan Kingdom. Alongside sugar, Cyprus also exported wine, olive oil, textiles, and other agricultural products, making its economy heavily reliant on its agricultural base. The Genoese and Venetian merchants played a crucial role in the Cypriot economy. As prominent players in Mediterranean trade, they established themselves in Cyprus and influenced its commercial infrastructure. Genoa and Venice had substantial trading colonies on the island, and their involvement in Cypriot trade networks shaped both the economy and politics of the kingdom. The Venetians, in particular, extended their influence to the point where they eventually took control of the island in 1489, following the decline of the Lusignan dynasty. Cyprus, positioned at the convergence of different civilizations, became a melting pot of cultural influences during the Lusignan reign. The island saw the fusion of Byzantine, Gothic, and Latin artistic and architectural traditions, producing a unique Cypriot identity that blended Greek, Latin, and Eastern cultural elements. The presence of diverse religious and ethnic communities, including Greek Orthodox Christians, Latin Catholics, Armenians, Maronites, and Jews, further contributed to the richness of Cypriot culture. In terms of architecture, the Lusignan kings oversaw the construction of Gothic cathedrals, castles, and palaces, reflecting the Western European styles brought by the Crusaders. The Cathedral of St. Sophia in Nicosia, later converted into a mosque by the Ottomans, is one of the most prominent examples of Gothic architecture on the island, blending Western Christian elements with local Byzantine styles. Similarly, the fortifications and palaces built by the Lusignans and later the Venetians showcase the integration of European military architecture with the local landscape. Cyprus also played an important role in the cultural exchange between the East and West. As a major hub for trade and diplomacy, the island became a conduit for the exchange of ideas, art, and science. Scholars, artists, and craftsmen from various parts of the Mediterranean frequented Cyprus, bringing with them their knowledge and skills. This flow of people and ideas helped foster the development of Cypriot art and culture, which drew upon influences from both the Latin West and the Byzantine East. In the realm of literature and intellectual pursuits, Cyprus produced notable works of both religious and secular nature. Latin and Greek scholars coexisted on the island, contributing to theological discussions, legal texts, and histories of the kingdom. The island's intellectual landscape was marked by a blend of Western scholasticism and Byzantine learning, resulting in a rich literary tradition that reflected Cyprus' unique position between East and West. The Kingdom of Cyprus, despite its earlier periods of prosperity, faced significant internal challenges that contributed to its eventual decline. One of the most pressing issues was the succession crises within the Lusignan dynasty. As with many medieval monarchies, disputes over succession led to instability. Rival factions within the royal family, as well as competing claims to the throne, weakened the central authority and allowed foreign powers to exert influence over Cypriot politics. These internal power struggles often played into the hands of Venice and Genoa, who had vested interests in controlling the island's resources and trade routes. Another significant internal challenge was the tension between the Latin elite, who ruled the island, and the local Greek population. The Lusignan dynasty and its Latin nobility, who were primarily of French and Western European origin, governed Cyprus as a feudal state, which led to resentment among the indigenous Greek Cypriot population. Religious differences between the Latin Catholics and the Greek Orthodox communities exacerbated these tensions, leading to periodic unrest. The Greek population, despite being a majority, had limited political power under Lusignan rule, which caused friction and contributed to periodic rebellions. Foreign powers, particularly Venice and Genoa, also played a key role in Cyprus' internal struggles. Both maritime republics were deeply involved in the island's trade and politics, often backing different factions within the Lusignan court to serve their interests. This foreign interference further destabilized the kingdom, leading to a decline in the Lusignans' control over the island. By the late 15th century, Venetian influence had grown so strong that it eventually resulted in Cyprus coming under Venetian rule. The most devastating of these invasions occurred in 1426 when the Mamluks launched a major raid on Cyprus, resulting in the sack of Nicosia, the capital. The Mamluks captured King Janus of Cyprus and forced the island into a state of vassalage, requiring the Lusignan rulers to pay tribute to Cairo. This event marked a turning point in the kingdom's decline, as it demonstrated the inability of Cyprus to defend itself against powerful external forces. The Mamluk raids not only weakened Cyprus militarily but also had a severe impact on the island's economy and political stability. The economic fortunes of Cyprus began to wane in the late medieval period due to several factors. One of the most significant was the shifting of trade routes away from the eastern Mediterranean, as European powers began to focus on Atlantic trade and exploration. The discovery of new trade routes to Asia and the Americas reduced the importance of Cyprus as a key trading hub between Europe, the Middle East, and Africa. This shift in global trade patterns had a detrimental effect on the island's economy, which had long relied on its strategic position for its prosperity. The decline in sugar production also played a critical role in Cyprus' economic downturn. Sugar had been one of the kingdom's most important exports, but by the 15th century, competition from other regions and changing agricultural practices led to a decrease in production. The decline in agriculture, coupled with the Mamluk invasions and internal instability, further weakened the kingdom's economic base. As Cyprus' economic and military power diminished, its strategic importance in the eyes of European powers also declined. While Cyprus had once been a vital staging ground for crusades and a key player in Mediterranean politics, by the late 15th century, the focus of European powers had shifted westward. The weakening of Cyprus' economy and military left it vulnerable to external takeover, culminating in its eventual annexation by Venice in 1489. In the 15th century, the Kingdom of Cyprus experienced increasing influence from the Venetian Republic. Venice, a major maritime power and trading state, had long been interested in Cyprus due to its strategic location and economic potential. By the late 15th century, the Venetian presence on the island grew substantially, both politically and economically. The turning point came in 1472 when Queen Catherine Cornaro of Cyprus, who had been left with limited options due to the kingdom's precarious position, entered into a marriage alliance with Venice. This marriage was not just a personal union but also a political maneuver that significantly shifted the balance of power in Cyprus. Under the terms of the marriage, Catherine effectively ceded control of the island to the Venetian Republic, although she remained as a nominal queen. Venice's control over Cyprus became increasingly evident as the 15th century progressed. The Venetian authorities took over the island's administration, and the local governance structures were gradually replaced by Venetian officials. The island's economic and political independence dwindled as Venice integrated Cyprus into its commercial empire. Venetian interests dominated Cypriot trade, and the island's strategic importance was leveraged for Venetian advantage, leading to a loss of local autonomy and a gradual erosion of Cypriot sovereignty. The Ottoman Empire's campaign to conquer Cyprus began in earnest in 1570. The Ottomans, led by Grand Vizier Sakalu Mehmed Pasha, launched a full-scale invasion of the island. The Ottoman forces were well organized and heavily equipped, with a formidable military presence that outmatched the Cypriot defenses. The siege of Nicosia, the capital of Cyprus, was one of the most decisive moments in the Ottoman campaign. The city was heavily fortified, but the Ottomans, employing extensive siege tactics and overwhelming firepower, managed to breach its defenses after a protracted struggle. The fall of Nicosia marked a significant blow to Cypriot resistance and led to a period of intense conflict and suffering. The siege of Famagusta, another key city, followed shortly after. Famagusta was defended by a determined Venetian garrison, but despite their efforts, the city fell to the Ottomans in August 1571. The fall of Famagusta was the final blow to Cypriot resistance, and with it, the Ottomans secured complete control over the island. The conquest of Cyprus by the Ottomans marked the end of the Lusignan rule and the complete annexation of the island into the Ottoman Empire. The Ottoman administration established a new governance structure, integrating Cyprus into its vast empire and reshaping its political and social landscape. The Lusignan period also fostered a rich cultural environment where Latin Christianity interacted with local Greek Orthodox traditions. Although the island was under Ottoman rule for centuries, the influence of Latin Christianity persisted in the form of ecclesiastical architecture, religious practices, and cultural norms. The Catholic Church continued to have a presence on the island, with various Latin Christian institutions and communities maintaining their traditions. The Venetian Republic, which took control of Cyprus in 1489, inherited and built upon the economic and strategic advantages that the Lusignan Kingdom had developed. The Venetians further integrated Cyprus into their maritime empire, using it as a base for their operations in the eastern Mediterranean. The Venetian period continued the legacy of Cyprus as a key commercial and military stronghold. The Ottoman Empire, which conquered Cyprus in 1571, also recognized the island's strategic importance. Under Ottoman rule, Cyprus remained a vital part of the empire's administrative and military structure. The Ottomans introduced new administrative practices and legal systems but continued to leverage the island's strategic location for trade and military purposes. In sum, the Kingdom of Cyprus was more than just a geopolitical entity. It was a vibrant center of cultural and economic activity with lasting impacts on Mediterranean history. Its legacy is reflected in the island's diverse cultural heritage, its contributions to Mediterranean trade and politics, and its enduring significance as a strategic maritime location. Understanding the history of the Kingdom of Cyprus provides valuable insights into the broader dynamics of medieval Mediterranean interactions and the evolution of regional powers.